All right, all right. We are back in beautiful Belmont, New Jersey for myself, but I have a very special guest on who is not in Belmont, New Jersey. This is a virtual one. We have Alex Barr on. Alex and I met through Facebook and through SEO, and Alex is knows more about SEO than probably 99.9% of the people in this population. So I thought he'd be a cool guest to have on. But then we also want to bring back a local impact of, tech companies doing things locally to help nonprofits as he started to follow the Wingman Foundation. So Alex, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me on, Tom. I really appreciate it.
You got it. I love the hat. Let people know where you're from, your company, and kind of some of the things you've done, because you've done a lot of great things in your career here.
Yeah, so I'm in Cheyenne, Wyoming, hence the hat.
Yep.
I help SEO agencies specifically with just doing the best that they can for their clients, building for acquisition, and ultimately becoming acquired. And so that's kind of the whole process. And there's a lot that goes into every stage of that. I've personally built and sold 5 agencies over my course of being in the internet industry. So I jumped in 2006. So I'm just an old fogey in the industry, and I've just sharing my advice and my knowledge with agencies that could use it, because there's a lot of, as you know, in the industry, a lot of people that are not always above board and always giving you the best direction. And so if I can be the no BS solution and help some people out, and not only serving their clients but also taking their agency to where they want to be, that's kind of what I've been doing.
And SEO is an ever-changing game. It's an ongoing, it's a discipline. It's not even like, I love when people come in and go, can you just set my keywords once and forget it? And, those guys, they're not the right clients for SEO, because they're never going to understand and value the work that goes into it.
And it's also just, there's such a gap or a curtain, right? And so showing people behind the curtain, I'm a big fan of trying to relate it to your common stuff, right? So it's like, okay, well, if you did one oil change on a brand new car and never did an oil change again, would that be beneficial for your car? I mean, it would work for a little while, right? But long term, it's not a great solution. The same situation, right? So when you start relating stuff to your common everyday, then it's like, oh, okay, that's why there's value. So it's not always that the person is, a bad fit. Sometimes there's just an education piece there where they don't value it because they don't understand or they can't relate it. A lot of the times you and we can talk Greek all day long and we know what we're talking about, but it might as well be another, language to most of these other, especially business owners, right?
And business owners are busy. They're doing 100 things. And, again, you said it earlier, not everybody in the SEO game is on the up and ups. There's a lot of people that understand that business owners don't understand it and can take advantage of it. And, it's like voodoo, right? Like, behind the scenes, there's things that are done and, things that
twinkle
happen.
your nose.
And, also, it's also funny when someone says, oh, just get me back up to the first page, and you're like, all right, well, there's a lot of other things involved in this. But, so I think that there's some places that are not on the up and ups, and those people give SEO a bad name in general then. So, it's people like yourself and us that are trying to do the right thing for customers, show them what it is, show them the value, show them where it happens and how to start showing up on those keywords. And then, you take current SEO or SEO from 2024, and then you throw AI into the mix and you have a whole nother game ahead of you.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, and like AI aspect has changed everything so much from a playing field perspective that a lot of the existing SEO agencies that thought they had it figured out, right, have also been shooken up. And so being able to go ahead and translate that ever-changing field that we're in to not just agencies, but also to business owners, because it's scary for business owners, because a lot of AI is directly threatening, their business and their livelihood. And so being able to be confident in the direction that they're going, and then also being able to be like, hey, this is an opportunity and not, fear mongering, is a whole other aspect.
So where do you see AI going in the world of, let's just start in the world of SEO and search?
So it's actively changing the way search is taking place because it's changing behavior, right? And so the way that people are searching is different. The way that people are purchasing is different. The amount of data that they have freely available is different. You look at your traditional search now versus a year ago, right? There's 80% of searches zero click, right? And so organic has drastically felt that. The one thing that it has not been affected and is actually more important now than ever is maps, right? Because out of the 20% of search that is clickable, majority of that is local. And so maps is a huge play. All of your LLMs, whatever your choice is, Gemini, Perplexity, ChatGPT, etc., all of those scrape maps, right? Whether it's Maps, Google Maps, whatever it is, right? But they all scrape those for the results. And so when you're searching for, the best plumber in Tulsa, right? Then guess what? Those results are still going to be local. And so for local businesses specifically, whether you're service or retail or what have you, that aspect is actually way more important than it's ever been. And the cool thing is the barrier to entry is even lower. Google's ranking guide updated to where the weighted factor of activity is now a much higher value than it ever has been. And so just actively being on your Google business profile, right? Posting updates, making changes, etc., that alone is now an active ranking factor that doesn't necessarily even require an agency, right? And so the barrier to entry for a local business is much lower, and AI is the reason why things are the way they are today. So in that regard, it's actually a huge benefit for local businesses versus what it was before. So it's all perspective at the end of the day.
Yep. And I think so many people just hear AI and they're just, they in some cases they I had somebody walk into my office last week and they're like, oh, just do it on AI. You'll be done in 2 minutes. And like what he wanted wasn't a 2-minute job. Did we use some AI? We certainly did. But like, I think people are throwing around those 2 letters like they know exactly what they're talking about. But meanwhile, they don't, but they've heard it and they've heard it from a friend or another business colleague. There's also some people that are like, I want nothing to do with AI right now. And they need to be brought over because you do need to be involved in it. It's just, it doesn't have to be everything. You can still answer, you can still do things. It's just interesting how the perspective of people are. And I think it depends on their age and what they know, what they've heard, what they've researched. But it is a topic that is, very interesting.
Well, if we take it back to what we were told as kids, right? We got told that we'd never have a calculator in our pocket at all times. So we had to know math in our head, right? Every single person in the entire world today has a calculator in their hand, right? At all times. And so like life changes. The same thing with the internet, right? People thought internet was a fad. People thought that, we're afraid of the internet. Like they had the same reaction that they're having to AI with the internet, right? And so the reality of it is the internet is baked into everything that you do, everywhere that you go. And we're going to see the same thing happen with AI. Honestly, we're already starting to see those repercussions of it's essentially a tool that is speeding things up, is way more productive, is way more accurate, right? And can be scaled infinitely. And so the benefits are that it's going to accelerate everything that we're doing currently. And so if we look at it that way, now that kind of gets rid of that fear mongering, and now it's an exciting opportunity. And that's really what people should be looking at, because there's more money to be made in fear mongering people, right? But the reality of it is that if you look at it as an opportunity and you are implementing that opportunity into your business or your everyday life, then you're going to be benefiting from that instead of scared of it.
Sure. Now, where do you see the digital landscape going in the next 3 to 5 years with knowing what knowing where we're at, and kind of where do you see like digital agencies going?
It depends upon the type of agency, right? I think some agencies are going to have a lot harder time than other agencies, just because there's a whole host of agencies that are selling nothing but AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is dangerous because the rapid pace at which AI is moving. We've already seen a wave of AI agencies that have been put out of business because of new models and new technology, and everything's just moving so fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, there's other agencies that are hugely benefiting from it. Like look at Andromeda with Meta, right? AI literally runs the entire media buying process. So the only thing that you have to focus on is creatives and target your appropriate audiences at the different levels of the funnel. That's it. So it has made it exponentially easier for
Mm-hmm.
PPC agencies, as an example, right? Media buying agencies. So it depends upon the type of agency. I would say in the next 3 to 5 years, they're expecting AGI to happen. I think before AGI ever actually truly happens, we're going to see the next phase of AI affect things where right now we're the ones training and directing AI. And we're already starting to see agents that can train agents. And so I think your AI org essentially is going to become way more important, where AI is going to then be directing AI. And that's really going to, again, just further accelerate everything that's happening currently.
That's game changing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that in the next 3 to 5 years, that's probably going to have a bigger impact. They're expecting in the next 3 to 5 that we could potentially hit AGI, whether we do or not. I think the biggest thing that we're going to immediately see impact from is the fact that we're going to be removed from the implementation process with AI. And it's going to be AI directing AI, which
Mm-hmm.
is going to be the commonplace very quickly.
That's going to be an interesting kind of hurdle and opportunity at the same time. And now, like when we started to talk, when you and I started talking, we talked about the give back and the nonprofit aspect of the tech space. I think that a lot of guys kind of do their thing and they don't really think about the local community. And that's one thing that, at Wingman, we're very focused on. We have, as you know, we have our own foundation. And that started just because we wanted to do the right thing. 10 years ago, we started collecting toys and food, and it just kept going. And then finally, we said we probably should start a nonprofit because this is getting a little bit bigger than what we thought. The first year we gave out, 2 turkeys and a table full of food, we thought we took over the world. But I thought I won the Heisman that year with 2 turkeys on the table and some stuffing. But now we feed about 4,000 people for Thanksgiving. We have a perpetual food drive. We're teamed up with a ton of local businesses that everybody's shooting for that same mission. And, I think it's gotten a great impact, and it's had a positive impact on our business, but we don't do it. I always said, if we never get one customer from this, that's okay. I know we're doing the right thing. And it's part of kind of what's, how I'm built is to, just give back. And to those that are less fortunate, I'm very thankful and blessed for everything that I have, and I want to make sure that we could help and make the community a better place than when we found it. So that's why I do it. But I think that there is in the tech space, I think that that's kind of gotten lost because there's less community in the tech space.
We're in a bubble for sure, and that bubble can get lonely. And the reality of it is, I think a lot of agency owners that I've talked to, at least, and then myself included, I mean, the whole reason that we got into the tech space is to be able to help those individuals and those business owners and make that impact, right? It's really cool to be able to be like, hey, Chuck in a truck started with, just him, and now he runs a crew of 15 and runs 25 trucks or whatever. Like that,
Yeah.
that is very rewarding and fulfilling as an agency owner. And so at the end of the day, a lot of the reason why we're doing what we're doing is to be able to have that impact with businesses. So that correlation with impacting the community and the economy that you're living in is huge, right? And so I know one of the things that I personally do here in Cheyenne is I do a lot of education with business owners. I do a lot of support outside of what I would normally do with business owners. Not only giving back, but also just helping, right? Being that lending hand and being more approachable on that end of things. Even though I don't have a ton of clientele in this area, being able to go ahead and reach out to the community and be a positive impact also not only helps make you feel good, obviously, selfishly, but it also helps with the economy and the economies or the local communities aspect of these scary digital companies, right?
Yep.
And so making it more approachable and more friendly and being more open and supportive on that front goes a long way from a reputation perspective for the industry and just other, digital businesses as well.
Yep. I think that there's a lot of things where, that local impact can kind of make a difference for the community, but also for the agency. So people start to know, like, all right, these guys are good guys. These guys, this is what they do and how they do it. Again, you take a local small business that's not computer savvy, and, we start talking and they're like, what are they talking about? So it's, I think that becomes it becomes to realize that everybody's kind of the same. Everybody puts on their pants the same way, and just a matter of the talk that the jargon that you're talking. So I think that is beneficial. And I'd love to see more agencies kind of get involved in that. And again, you talk about the chuck and the truck that you turned into 15 truck or 20 truck operation. Like, those guys want to give back too, as they've grown, as they've seen the community. So it's kind of, and that's, kind of, I think that's one of the things that helped our nonprofit once we formalized our nonprofit is, a lot of nonprofits are always out trying to fundraise, where I put on networking events. People come in, we had a networking event, recently, and people come in, they bring a toy, they bring a, food, non-perishable food, or we have we have QR code set up to make a donation. And it's just that easy. We're a nonprofit because they don't have the marketing background and they're really nonprofit focused. They don't think about like those easy steps. So for me to throw a networking event cost me a few $100s in food and drinks, and I get 25 to 50 people in a room. The people want to be there because they want to meet each other, and in the process I say, just bring me a toy, bring me food, make a donation, and they're thrilled to. It's easy because they've just met 25 to 50 new potential leads for them.
Well, not only that, but then it also for your business, you're getting that visibility. So there's a lot of selfish reasons to go ahead and to reach out and help the community as well, is because at the end of the day, everything that we do in the marketing space, right, is about visibility. It's all about eyeballs and impact, right? And so sometimes in the digital space specifically, we completely forget about like face-to-face human interaction, right?
Yep.
And so everything's an ad or a campaign or what have you, and we look at everything as traffic. But the reality of it is all that translates back to a human on the other side of things, right? And so being able to not only be present physically, but also present online, that's the perfect combo. So when I talk to agencies specifically and small businesses, and I say, hey, it's not necessarily about the one perfect silver bullet. Like, that's the one biggest thing in our industry that I think we need to get away from, is the silver bullet myth, right? And so it's honestly just about visibility, and visibility can happen through multiple channels, and we are more connected than we've ever been in our communities, not only through online, but also personally, right? So a lot of these businesses rely on other businesses. They network, whether it's through a networking event or at the bar or what have you, right? And so being able to be omnipresent in all of those situations, whether you're running an ad or you're hosting a networking event, right? There's opportunity for referral, for word of mouth, all of that. And so taking all of those additional avenues into play, realistically, it's not one is better than the other. It's like we should all be doing all of it, And that's one of those things where it can be very overwhelming for businesses when they're like, I'm just trying to run my business. I don't got time for all this other stuff. And that's
Yep.
where supporting each other really comes into play and is able to go ahead and maximize the impact that you have.
Agree. Agree. And, again, you said omni-channel. Like, there's so many places that you need to be seen to continue to grow. And not everybody looks at the same place. Not everybody just looks on a Google search. Not everybody only goes to Instagram. It's being connected in a very crowded space too. I think social is just getting more crowded every day. And to get your message through and to get eyeballs on it, it's harder and harder.
There's a local business here that is actively working on building a third space. Are you familiar with that term?
No.
So a third space is a place that isn't your work or your house that you go to hang out, right?
Okay.
And one of the things that is missing across the country that we've kind of dwindled down over the years is that third space, right? For you to network and meet people and hang out outside of either your home or work. And so that, as an example, is one of those really cool opportunities, having that third space, if you will, to be able to leverage that community aspect around. And so that's another thing that I think is going to be on the rise as AI increases. There's going to be a trust factor that is lost, right? I don't know if you've seen some of the latest Sora stuff, or, Nana Banana Pro as an example. But all these models are getting really, really, really good with visuals and with video. And so being able to see or being able to trust what you're seeing online is going to actually, I think, plummet, where I think that's going to make your community aspect in like places like a third place way more important over time, because that trust factor face to face versus seeing something online is going to be immediately higher.
You want to hear a funny one? So one of the guys that works for me says to me a couple weeks ago, it's 5:00 on like a Thursday night. Where everybody's kind of getting ready to go home. And he goes, just do me a favor. He goes, just stand in front of my laptop for 2 minutes and just say a couple things about the business. And I do it. And that night he goes home and he sends me a text. It's on Sora of me. But now I spoke for 1 minute about my business, and now he has multiple versions of other things about the business that had nothing to do with what I said. You see my face. It wasn't a particularly the way we set it up on a conference room table. Like, you didn't get a great shot of my face, but I sent it to my mom, and I said, tell me how you think I sounded in this video. Just, knowing that she had no idea. She goes, your voice was great. She goes, you looked good. I would have just looked at the camera a little more. I said to her, listen, that wasn't real. That was AI. And then I said to her, listen, if anyone calls and says that they're Tom Mirabella, you say no, and you call my cell phone and you call my wife and ask her to be sure, do not fall for any scams, because it was so real.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome, but it's also scary because, again,
Terrifying.
with great responsibility comes, or great power comes great responsibility, right? And so how we utilize that's going to be very, very important. And I think there's going to have to be some forced regulation around likeness and all that stuff. And I know there's already some talks about that, but
Yep.
overall, I think the trust factor of what you see online versus being in person, there's almost no way where it's not going to increase, right? Your trust factor in person. And so your active involvement in that community and in person, I think, is going to skyrocket due to AI.
Yeah. I hope that the good of AI stays the good, but I fear on some of that back, the people are going to try to take advantage of other people because of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, and there's always bad apples, right? So there's going to be a certain amount of people that take advantage for sure. But then the question too is, once we hit AGI and once we get down the road far enough where it's an inevitable endpoint where AI is going to be more productive at a lower cost, and it's going to be more beneficial to have AI run almost everything, right? At what point are we going to go ahead? Like, what's the point of human interaction, right? Like, what are we doing? What is our involvement? Because a lot of business owners that I talk to that are scared of AI, they're like, well, if I'm getting replaced, there's nowhere for me to, I'm not being offset, right? It's not like, oh, AI is going to take over this and now I'm going to go do that other thing. It's like AI is doing all of it, right? And so obviously we haven't hit that threshold yet, but there is a timeline in which case we see that in the eventual future. And so then the real question that we have is, what is the goal of, if AI can be running everything in your business, what is your goal? Like your goals and your desired lifestyle. I've been having this conversation a lot, is like, that's way more important. And that's typically something that a business owner hasn't thought of because they've been too busy running their business. Right. And so being able to go ahead and craft what AI is doing in order to build your dream lifestyle and your dream outcome and allow you to do what you want to do. So if you want to travel the world, or if you want to, impact your community or whatever that purpose is, I think the positive of that, that scary outcome of AI taking over is that we're going to be able to, as humans, focus way more on the things that are fulfilling for us that we haven't been able to because we've been so, nose down to the grindstone on
slug.
work.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, here's a different question. What happens to, the world gets replaced by AI? How do people make money for these business owners to live that desired lifestyle?
So obviously business owners that utilize AI and are having AI operate, right? There's obviously going to be financial benefit to that. It's the people that aren't running the businesses where AI takes over their job, right? They don't own the AI that's running stuff. What happens to them? There's been more and more talk, at least in my world, that I've been seeing about some sort of universal basic income, right? Because at that point, what's the benefit of your average worker, right? If AI can outperform at a lower cost on all levels, then what's the case? And so if a universal basic income is in play, right? The cool thing about that is now everybody's got this time freedom, right? And they've got their basic needs met. And so then the real question is, okay, what kind of an impact you as a human are going to have on other humans, right? Again, coming back to that community aspect. As a business owner with AI running things, I think that's actually way more beneficial for business owners because look at Base 44. Are you familiar with that story? That was just this year. Base 44 is a vibe coding platform that sold to Wix for $80 million. It was a single guy that built it, started in January, sold it over the summer. Less than a year in, right, built an $80 million business as a single individual.
It's incredible.
100% thanks to AI. So that aspect of accelerated business, something that normally would have taken years and massive teams, a single human did in less than a year, and had that same outcome, is all thanks to AI. So there's a lot of benefits to applying AI as well.
Totally. 100%. I think that business owners are going to do, a number of business owners are going to do well with it. And then there's going to be some people that, where they just don't know how to implement it and how to get around the curve, get around the fastball on that. And then you're going to have other people that, some of the employee side, and you're seeing that with some of these layoffs. Some of these layoffs, I think, are starting to, these corporate, these Fortune 500 layoffs. I think some of them start to trim the fat and they use AI as the reason. But then you're going to turn that into productivity and, what can you get from, the AI that you don't have sick days, you don't have PTO, you don't have all these other things, and you can get the work done and done faster and cheaper.
The other thing too is that there's human elements to a lot of these businesses that AI doesn't understand. that we still have the leg up on, right? And so being able to, let's say you got laid off from Fortune 500, your job was replaced by AI. Instead of AI being the evil, enemy, if you were to utilize AI to identify a human aspect of an element of business that you're familiar with that you potentially got laid off from or whatever, right? That maybe you weren't happy with at the employer or could have been done better or implemented better or whatever else. There's all these opportunities where you can actually turn around and turn a lot of these formerly employed people into business owners, where that barrier to entry to being a business owner and running a legit operation thanks to AI is lower than it's ever been.
Sure, absolutely. So, I mean, it's going to be an exciting next couple of years at a minimum to see kind of how things shake out, how companies do it, and who embraces it, who's hiding from it, and who and different opportunities along the way.
And then you gotta like compound that on top of all the baby boomers that are retiring and dying that have existing businesses that are 100% analog, right?
Yes.
And so that is happening at the same time that AI is taking off, right? And so the crossover between those two, implementing AI into businesses that have traditionally been analog, is going to also be, in my opinion, the next gold rush that we're immediately going to see in the next couple of years.
Definitely. Hang on. Put your seatbelt on and hang on. You're excited there. And now, as we wrap up, just so that the audience knows that's listening to this, you don't really work with the end client anymore. Now you're really just working with the agencies, like a guy like myself, other business owners that work for the agency. Is that correct?
Yeah, primarily that's my target audience, is working with the business owners. I do work
After
with
5 times, you don't want to deal with the end user anymore?
Well, I'm working with some private equity and franchises. So that on that end of things, I do some like actual like client work, but a majority of everything I do is agency.
Cool. So, and as we wrap up, if someone's watching this and they're an agency and they want to find you, what's the best way to to reach out to you?
I'm at Alex Barr on all the socials, and if you go to alexcbarr.com, you can reach out to me there too.
Awesome. Well, Alex, this was a great conversation. I really appreciate getting you on. I just enjoy our conversations, and I always learn something every time I talk to you. So,
well, I appreciate you having me. An amazing conversation.
Great. So we'll get this up in the next week or so, and you and I will continue to chat on other topics. And I wish you the best in everything you're doing, and continued success.
And you as well, sir.
Thank you.